It's Sunday, November 3rd, 2019. I had church today, and I will say the name, Christ Fellowship. I enjoy the church. A lot of festivities there. I go to this one Bible class, and the guys are great. They believe in the Lord, and they're very strict, and they're very committed. But there's a flaw in some of their teachings and understandings. We were talking about Galatians today, and what happens is when they read the Bible, sometimes they'll read one chapter, and next week read the next chapter. But when you do that, what happens? You lose the thread of talk, the trend of thought by the writer, Paul. You know, because Galatians was written to free people from religion. He uses the law and the scriptures interchangeably. You who want to follow the law do not know what the law says, for it is written. Abraham had two sons, one from the slave, one the free. And then later on he says in the bottom, the scripture says release the bondwoman. He also states that the scripture in Galatians 3:20 has everyone locked under sin. And then in the next verse, the law has everyone locked under sin. So you see, Paul is using the law in the scripture as a complete system of law. Jesus also said, don't you know that you say in your law, it says ye are gods, and the scriptures cannot be broken. So he's calling Psalms 82:6 as part of the law, contrary to tradition that the first 5 books. No, Paul came because Jewish Christians, infiltrators like the GOP, the conservatives, and who spoke Greek and Aramaic were the first ones. And the liberal ones were the Greek-speaking ones. In Acts 6, it says the Hebrews treated the Greek widows badly. So there's a truth in that there was conservative Judaizers, GOP, who wanted to go in Paul's churches and circumcise everyone to keep all the law. There's no such thing as ceremonial and moral. There's no distinction. Paul says all the law, the whole system. Stoning children, 2 kinds of clothing you can't mix, 2 kinds of seeds. That whole law system, if you're going to keep it, you got to keep it all. You see, they don't understand that. They're trying to say Paul's talking about good deeds. We cannot be under the laws of good deeds. They were trying to get us to do good deeds. No, Paul's saying you're trying to get my church people to get in circumcised and keep the whole law, the whole religious system. You see? But Paul says, no, that system was only until the coming of Christ. When we Jews, as opposed to you Gentiles, were in that religious system, as he says in Galatians 4, when we were no different than slaves, even though we owned the whole estate. So that system of law was only until the coming of Christ. All that churchy behavior, all that religious stuff was not for everybody. It's for the Jewish people until the coming of Christ. Now that Christ has come, we're no longer under the supervision of law. So I love them, I care for them, but there's no temple going to be built in Jerusalem. You know, and they're going to be very disappointed. Rick Blackwood, the pastor there, I like the guy, but he's wrong. And they read the commentaries in those Bibles. No, there's no distinction between ceremonial and law and moral. It's all one thing. You break one, you break them all. All ceremonial and ritual and moral, whatever you want to call it. That religious system was only until the coming of Christ. So Rick Blackwood is wrong when he thinks and teaches that the Jews are gonna, build the temple in Jerusalem just because Trump puts the embassy in Jerusalem and Jared Kushner is Jewish. Ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. So what's gonna happen when that doesn't happen? They're gonna lose faith. But I'm gonna be there to save them, and I'm gonna bring the table and say, look, you guys were wrong. So what? Everyone is always wrong. I was wrong in different things, but I'm right this time. And here's the table fellowship. You got your theology wrong. Jesus didn't come in the clouds like you think. The temple is not built, but you have each other. We have love. We have table fellowship, like the Messiah did. For it's an honor to invite someone to the table of peace, forgiveness, brotherhood, acceptance, sharing life. That's what it was in the East. That's what Jesus was doing. So there's no temple. And I'm telling some of them, so when it happens, you're going to believe me. And you're not going to turn to Rick Blackwood, the great preacher, but he's got a lot of things wrong. He's not like what I have on my website, Verdict Publication with Robert D. Brinsme at greatestoncommand.com. You go there and read the first journal at the bottom on the rock, and the one in Jesus' hand, and the one partially in the water, and the number 1 document at the top. You read all that, you have all the answers. You're not going to be disappointed, okay? Because Trump is not going to be president forever. His days are done. Like I said in my older videos, I kept my hair gray, so you know that was 5 years ago that I said he was going to get picked, but for a little while, because he's the 7th king of supporting the Jewish beast system from 1948. The dragon, which is Judaism, gave the beast. Catholicism, which is really Christianity, and now the Protestants only wounded that beast system. Now they're the same thing. Well, that's going to destruction, and that's why God put him there, to show to the world the true colors of this Bible, Old Testament mentality, church, temple, like God lives in a temple, and he doesn't. Watch my other videos. And there ain't going to be no temple, because in the end, God is the temple, and Jesus is the temple. So what the heck do you need a temple? He doesn't live in no houses. That only gave 430 years after Abraham. Was he in a homeless shelter? Should we do a car wash and try to raise money so God can, I feel sorry for him and his glory and his honor? God's not into that. He gets on his knees and washes our feet. God washes our feet. That's what Jesus said. Forget about this vertical perception of God. I'm kind of summing things up. There ain't going to be no temple. Galatians is the end of religion. Christ is the end of the law. No more Bibles, no more churches. Jeremiah says, I will write the law in their hearts. No one will teach their neighbor. I don't need to be taught by nobody. Jesus says you will have one teacher, the Christ. It's over with. There ain't going to be no temple. It's the end of the world. Trump is going to be removed. Supposedly there's going to be a nuclear explosion. And if there is, we're all going to get on our knees and do the Jubilee and enter heaven. So the solution is to go to greatestonecommand.com and start reading the documents I just mentioned. Thank you.